Hello again. So we're here working on this 1980s resurrection of a guitar. As you can see, I'm making some progress. In that progress, though, I wanted to tear apart the broken neck, just so you guys see what's inside of a neck of a guitar. I haven't seen too many videos of that, so I figured I'd do that quick. So this guitar was smashed, abused, etc., etc. 1980s Squire by Fender, made in Korea model. And as you can see, the neck's completely busted up. The only thing holding it together briefly, up until I dropped it earlier today, was the truss rod. So today we're going to go ahead and tear this thing all the way apart, just by pulling this fretboard off, hopefully. And there it is. So this is the fretboard. This is the rosewood fretboard. Again, it's pretty much destroyed guitar, so there's no harm in doing this. You'll see that the frets just slide right in there in a channel. And matter of fact, I could probably show you one of the frets right there. So these frets have little ridges in them. In this case, they are push down frets, so they seat down into the wood from up top. So somebody actually took these and then effectively pressed them straight into a slot that was cut inside the wood. Some of the frets that you'd get are angular frets. In other words, they slide into the channel from one side or the other. And it's hard to tell what, unless you're a really good guitar luthier, and I am not. So be careful when removing and replacing frets, because you don't know if somebody has pushed them down into the wood or slid them from the side into the wood. In this case, it would have been better possibly to just remove them anyways from the side, because of the angles on the grippers inside of the fret. And because if you were to take them and pull them straight up, number one, what would happen is you'd pull that wood with it, because there's those grippers there, and it would splinter that wood. And number two, when doing so, when you're pulling them straight up, you're basically loosening all the wood that's around it to where you can't fit another fret back in its place without it also wanting to come up, in which case you then have to use super glue or some type of proper luthier's glue, like the fish glue, to seat those properly. This guitar had a really crappy glue that was laminating this rosewood fretboard onto the maple body. Inside of the neck, you can see the truss rod system. This, I don't know if I'll be able to remove this, I haven't tried yet. Yeah, it came right out. This is just a piece of steel with a bar running through it. And on that bar there are ridges that hold that in place inside of the maple neck. So this is just a piece of wood. That's all that is now. There's no more hardware inside of it. This is what actually contorts and bends that wood so that it has a little bit of a slight angle when you're playing. You need that angle there so that when you're playing notes, the frets don't interfere with each other. And that's what this bar inside of the neck does. So when you're tightening that nut at the end of the neck, you're actually tightening a steel bar. And actually, I'll go ahead and see if I can open this all the way up. You're actually tightening and loosening this steel bar that's inside of this aluminum housing. And you're bending that so that you can actually see a slight curve when I'm looking at this down the edge. There's a curve for that neck, and it goes like this. And that curve is what you get, is what forces those frets into the proper position for playing. And you can adjust this by turning this bar, and it makes that curve more or less depending on how you want to play your guitar and fret buzz and noise and various other things like that. Fret buzz is the reason why this is in the neck of any guitar. And you can see it's just a bar that goes straight from the end all the way through with a threaded piece here, and then a hexagon nut, hex nut on the end that's relatively long. And this is what sticks out of your tuning spot inside the guitar. So that's the inner workings of a guitar neck, and hopefully people find this instructional and useful for their purposes of learning what guitars are and how they work. Thank you.